Okay, so when you think of The Jungle Book, what pops into your head? Probably a big, happy-go-lucky bear singing about the bare necessities, right? Maybe a little kid floating down a lazy river with him? Yeah. I want you to take all of that and just throw it out the window, because the story you think you know is a sanitized, watered-down version of Rudyard Kipling's original, which is a brutal, primal tale about law, betrayal, and some seriously bloody-minded revenge.
See? This isn't a song about friendship. These are some of the very first words that greet you in Kipling's book. It's called The Night Song in the Jungle, and it's basically a hymn to violence, to the weapons of the wild. It tells you right away, this is not a playground. It's a kingdom, and it's ruled by tooth and claw, all under the ironclad grip of something called the jungle law.
And that right there is the big question. We all use that phrase, law of the jungle, to mean, chaos, survival of the fittest, every creature for themselves. But in Kipling's world, it is the absolute opposite of that. It's this incredibly complex and rigid code of conduct that governs every single aspect of life, from who you're allowed to kill to how you're supposed to speak. So, what is it, really?
Well, that brings us to the first fundamental truth you have to understand about this world. Kipling's jungle is a society built on a foundation of unforgiving rules. Not what we'd call human morals. It's a world of pure, cold, unadulterated pragmatism.
The law isn't about being mice. It's not about being good or evil. It has one single purpose: the survival of the species, of the pack. It's a cold system where individual feelings just don't matter. Every rule, every custom is a matter of life and death for the group, forged over generations of blood and struggle.
And just look at how practical these rules are. Man-killing is forbidden, not because it's morally wrong, but because it's stupid. It brings humans with guns and fire and traps, and that's a war the jungle can't win. A price has to be paid for entry into the pack. Mowgli's life is literally bought with a freshly killed bull. And leadership, it's absolute. It's held by strength, and it's lost, often fatally, with the very first sign of weakness.
This right here, this quote, brilliantly illustrates the whole mindset. When Raksha, the mother wolf, whose name, by the way, literally means the demon, when she defends baby Mowgli, it's not just some tender maternal moment. No, it's a declaration of war. She stares down Shere Khan, the most feared predator around, and saves Mowgli by immediately framing his entire existence in violence, prophesying that this kid will one day hunt and kill her enemy. Love in this world is a promise of future bloodshed. So, you have this harsh legal system, and it sets the stage for a political powder keg. For 10 years, Mowgli's pretty safe, but the pack is not one big happy family. It's a fragile society that's basically on the brink of civil war, all centered around its aging leader, Akela, the lone wolf.
And the betrayal, it builds slowly, kind of like a sickness. For a decade, Mowgli lives under the protection of Akela's strength and his honor. But as Akela gets older, as his muscles start to weaken and his eyes start to dim, a power vacuum opens up. And Shere Khan, he's smart. He doesn't challenge the old wolf head-on. No, he undermines him. He starts corrupting the ambitious young wolves with flattery, with easy scraps of forbidden food, turning them against the old ways and against the man-cub they're supposed to protect.
So you've got these two sides just tearing the pack apart. On one side, you have Akela. He's the old guard, representing honor, tradition, the law. On the other, you have Shere Khan, who basically represents populist anarchy, deceit, greed, the easy way out. Mowgli isn't just a boy caught in the middle. He's a political symbol at the very heart of a society that's rotting from the inside out.
And Bagheera, the ultimate realist, he sees the writing on the wall. He warns Mowgli, telling him, look, this isn't personal, it's politics. According to the law, leadership is tied directly to physical strength. The second Akela fails his hunt, which is going to happen, he's old, his authority is just gone. And when it goes, so does Mowgli's protection.
And that prophecy leads directly to the story's brutal turning point, the moment of betrayal at the Council Rock, where law and loyalty are put to the ultimate test, and they fail, spectacularly.
It happens just like Bagheera said it would. Akela, who is set up to fail by those treacherous young wolves, misses his kill. Now, they don't tear him apart on the spot. Instead, he suffers a kind of political death. He's branded the Dead Wolf, a leader in name only, a ghost who's been stripped of all power, leaving Mowgli completely exposed to all his enemies. And suddenly, the pack has its excuse. After a decade of living with him, they turn his identity into a weapon against him. This chant, a man, it's not a debate. It's the roar of a mob. It's the snarling sound of a family recasting their own brother as an outsider, an other, that they have to get rid of for their own convenience.
In his final, desperate plea, Akela appeals to the honor of the pack, this ideal that he upheld his entire life. He offers to sacrifice himself peacefully, to let them kill him without a fight if they'll just let Mowgli go. But he's speaking to an honor that just doesn't exist anymore. The pack has been corrupted. They don't want honor. They want blood.
The betrayal is total. And this is where the boy they cast out stops being a victim and becomes an avenger, armed with the one thing the jungle fears above everything else, the mastery of man.
See? Mowgli doesn't flee, he calculates. He goes to the human village and he steals their ultimate power, fire, the red flower. He comes back to that council rock not as a begging little wolf cub, but as a master. And in this furious whirlwind confrontation, he denounces his betrayers, he seizes control with a blazing branch, and he single-handedly overthrows the entire power structure of his jungle.
Oh, this line is absolutely devastating. They cast him out for being a man, so he turns around and weaponizes that very identity. He calls them sag, dogs, which is the ultimate insult, stripping them of their pride as the so-called free people. He's not just leaving the pack here, he is systematically destroying its very soul.
And then comes the physical proof of his new power. He doesn't just scare Shere Khan away. He confronts the great tiger, and he beats him with fire, humiliating the jungle's most fearsome predator until he's whimpering and fleeing in terror with the smell of his own burning fur trailing behind him.
Just listen to the language Mowgli uses here. Up dog, when a man speaks. He has completely inverted their power dynamic. He is no longer the prey. He is the man, the master, and he is commanding the king of the jungle like he's a disobedient pet.
But this is not a triumphant story. This incredible victory, this moment of absolute mastery over the very forces that rejected him, it comes at a terrible, soul-crushing price.
In the quiet aftermath of all that rage, Mowgli feels something completely alien to him, this deep internal pain. And for the first time in his entire life, he cries. He doesn't even know what's happening to him. He actually asks Bagheera if he's dying. The boy who just mastered the entire jungle is completely undone by this very human emotion, this grief for a home that he was just forced to destroy.
And this is the story's profound, tragic irony. Bagheera explains to him that those tears are the final proof of his humanity. In the very moment he becomes a man, he seals his own exile. His victory is his banishment. The jungle is now closed to him forever.
So this is the final picture. Mowgli has won. But in winning, he has lost everything that ever mattered to him. His home, his family, his identity. He is a master of a jungle that he could no longer enter, and he's a total stranger to the world of men. He belongs absolutely nowhere, tied to his brutal past only by a single vow, that one day he will return to lay Shere Khan's hide upon the council rock.
So we're left with this really haunting question. Mowgli survived by embracing the one thing the jungle could not defeat, his own humanity. But in doing so, he became a king with no kingdom, a master with no home. Far from some simple children's story, Kipling's original is a timeless tragedy about the price of power, and the deep pain of belonging to two worlds, but being truly welcome in none of them,